All right, guys, we get the show started here in just a minute. YouTubers, hang tight. Don't go nowhere. All right, it is Manic Media Monday. What's up with that? A different show, different day, all about the same thing. Living life in America, living and loving life in America, should I say. What's up, good people? Highway Jack, Angry American Radio on the JustForFunRadio.com broadcast network across the World Wide Web. That's right, we're going to get a little crazy. Missing my co-host tonight, couldn't make it in. Tim the Tin Man is out making a few dollars. You know, I thought he was independently wealthy, but apparently he just puts up a good front. I don't know. But got a lot of stuff going on we'll be talking about, no doubt about it. And you guys out there in YouTube world, glad to have you with us. If you're listening on the app or on the web, also be sure to check us out on YouTube. Why? Because you get to see. But right now, tonight might not be the best night to do it because all you're going to see is my bald-headed self. But I did wear my Gitmo Detainee shirt for a reason tonight, and that's because I'm all for Hillary going to prison. That's right. What prison should she go to? One where she it won't be bothering anybody else. Put her over there with all those people she loves so much. But with that being said, I was watching the local news and try to start off with a little locality news. Hillary was in town, or at least her bus was. I don't know if she was physically here on that chump wagon, but it pulled up. I believe it was in Decatur, GA. It's been all over the web. But, you know, she's so green, meaning economically, or not economically. She is definitely not economically friendly. Eco-friendly is what I was trying to say. And she pulls up to the bus driver. I'm sure they caught the static for it and got blamed for it and everything. But they decided to dump their waste. Now, you know, typically when you have a charter bus or an RV or something, you go to a place that allows you to do that. They have hookup connections and all that. But no, not Stronger Together Forever in Prison Hillary. No, she doesn't go that route. Not her people. They just pull up to the local sewer drain and just open that puppy up and cause hazmat to come out. And, yeah, I haven't heard about any fines on that deal yet. So waiting to see what happens with that, because had it been you or I, not only would be in prison, the fines would be astronomically crazy. So with that being said, that's the local news. I just wanted to hit on that just to touch base about how you know, they're really worried about the greenhouse and the blue house. And I think they're more worried about the blue house. What do you think? They sure are not worried about the White House, that's for sure, because they've already stolen from it and about to try to take it over again. And, man, it's just crazy what's going on. There's so much. Matter of fact, I think if I didn't mention, I'll mention it again. And well, if I didn't mention it, I wouldn't be mentioning it again. But mention it for the first time or be mentioning it again, whichever way it works out. Anyway, Lady Liberty will be calling in later on. If you don't know her, she does write some news articles. And we'll get her in. I'll let her tell you a little bit about her. She's been on the show before. She does a whole lot of advocating for doing the right thing in America. And, you know, she's like mindset of most of us conservative folks. It's not about, you know, being a Republican per se. It's about being a daggum American. That's what we are. We're Americans first and foremost. I mean, I've said it before. If there was a Democratic nominee, which there won't be, there could be, there won't be, that was really good for this country, hey, I'd be all about it. No doubt, man. I would be all over it. But, you know, it's just not happening. Their beliefs are not in line with what's going on. And speaking about what's not in line, they are trying to change their platform, so to speak, as far as attacks and trying to make it out like they're not making all the angry attacks. Are you kidding me? There's more negative stuff coming out of the Clinton camp than I've ever seen before. I mean, you've got to admit, it is crazy the stuff they come out with. And I think either today, yesterday, you know, they brought in another woman alleged that not only that Trump was wanting to get with her, we shall say, because we're trying to keep the show a little clean, but I think he offered allegedly some like $10,000 in use of a private jet and all this, which, sounds a little extreme, right? Well, the chick's a porn star. Oh, I said chick. I know, derogatory, not politically correct comment, but it is what it is. She's a porn star. She goes out and she has sex for money. I don't, condemn her for that. Hey, if that's what you want to do, hey, that's your thing. Do what you want to do. But to sit here and try to tell me you're going to turn down $10,000 or whatever it was from a billionaire, really? I just, again, another story. Have a hard time believing. Excuse me. Speaking on that story, boy, and I criticize people for saying and here I am doing it. But looking at the last story, the girl come out and read the line by line article of how she was molested, assaulted, whatever terminology you want to use. Boy, we got in a hot debate on Facebook. And I mean, debate is like, really, we brought out the insanity from the left side. Quite a few right side folks of us were really condemning the going on about her accusations because, again, she read it from a script, guys. I mean, granted, it was 16, 18 years ago. Maybe your memory's a little foggy, but if you're going to come out and accuse somebody of something and then say that you're traumatized by something of that nature, it's been that long and you're ready for justice, don't you think you would be fired up, ready for justice? I mean, she had to read this verbatim of what had happened to her. And that's what got me about the whole thing. I'm not going to sit here and say she's lying because I wasn't there. I don't know. And the truth of the matter is, other than us assuming from what we've seen of her alleged allegations or her allegations, she is absolutely, I mean, Kylie, I've seen worse actors. Where at, let me think. Oh, maybe kindergarten, because she was horrible. I couldn't believe a word she was saying. And again, she read it verbatim, word for word. She could not get one word out of her mouth without looking at that screen. I mean, the piece of paper. And again, if you've got a story that strong, you've got to remember some of it. And this girl, this left liberal leaning woman, boy, I use that term and there I go with again, because I just, I try to keep this respectful, but she's tried to say, well, maybe she was sleep deprived. Maybe she was suffering from PTSD. All these other things she's throwing out there. And I'm like, okay, right. She's suffering from PTSD from 16, 18 years ago. What, has she not seek help for it? I mean, I don't get it. And then it comes out in this video that she's a life coach. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, she's a life coach? Now, I'm not knocking her being a life coach if that's what she is. But what I'm trying to tell you people, if she's a life coach, then she's coaching people on how to get through troubled times in their life. And you're going to tell me that she can't deal with an issue 16 or 18 years ago. Well, let's talk about this issue. The issue that she says she was touched inappropriately, because that's really what she's talking about. She wasn't sexually molested. Even if this happened, okay, this would not qualify in my book as being sexually molested. I've had more people, whether female or male, rub up against me in an elevator and have more sexual attention than what she's alleging. She says Trump come up and grabbed her right arm with his right hand, touching the inside of her breast. Okay, well, first off, if you do that with anybody, male, female, whatever, and you want to try to see what they're explaining, that would be the outside of her breast to start with. And she's saying he got sexual pleasure from that. Let me tell you something. Donald Trump is a man of much money. He's been around probably thousands of beautiful women over decades. And you're going to tell me that him rubbing his knuckles up against a woman's breast turns him on? I don't know. Maybe it does, but I have a hard time believing a story. And I'm not going to outright call her a liar. Again, I wasn't there. But all I did was what we all do. I voiced my opinion. And man, I'm going to tell you what. The left hatred was unreal. Some of it's posted on the Angry American page if you want to get on there and check it out. I had trouble copying, the whole conversation, because the people that were talking about this stuff and defending her was just out of, where were they at? Oh, left field. That's right. I mean, absolutely insane. And this goes to everything that they're talking about in the media against Trump. I mean, it's stuff that really doesn't make sense. James T. Harris said it best earlier. It's like living in the Matrix, because everything they're telling you is what they want you to believe. It's not the reality. It's not the truth. It's what they want you to believe. So keep that in mind. I think that's a really good analogy, really, of what's going on today. It's like living in a matrix, because that is exactly what it is. I got a caller. We'll go ahead and take this one. I was waiting until after the commercial break. We'll see what we got. You're on the air with Highway Jack, Angry American Radio.
I just had to get in on this conversation, even though you threw me under the bus for having to work. I'm independently working.
Oh, it's the Tin Man calling in. I didn't throw you under the bus. I did not throw you under the bus, my man.
Independently wealthy. Okay.
I thought you were independently wealthy. I apologize. Hey, when I'm wrong, I do like the Donald. I apologize. So my apology.
Well, I
hey, that's more than you would. That's more than you would ever get from Hillary. Okay, I'm just saying.
Well, we don't support that side, so therefore, we can do better than that side.
That's a fact, Jack. So what do you got? What do you got?
And I had to cut you off so I could call in. I was listening, and some of this stuff, you go and you look at what these people are saying and who they are, and it's just absolutely absurd at some of the comments they're making. Oh, just like you said, he got off on touching her breast. Come on, really?
I mean, it takes more than that just to make me and you happy. And we don't even have billions of dollars.
And it's just, it's crazy. It's coming from the left.
Well, I mean, like I said, her story, again, she had to read it verbatim, word for word from a piece of paper. She did not say anything off the top of her head. Nothing, not one word. I don't even think, did she even mention her name? I don't even think she mentioned her name. I don't remember. It was so bad I didn't really want to watch it.
Well, they're horrible. They're horrible, but the people are buying it. That's the problem. But no, there's a couple other things I wanted to throw out, and I know you got Lady Liberty calling, so I won't keep you on the line. And I know people are probably they may be cheering because I'm not there. Oh, we ain't got to listen to that guy.
No, not at all. I wish you were sitting sidekick, man. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. We're the ones that have to pay for our Obamacare doubling next year. Oh wait, did I say our Obamacare? I meant their Obamacare.
Yeah, but we have to pay double so that they can get theirs for free.
Right.
Well, a couple of things I hate to drag you off of your subject, but a couple of things I wanted to.
Well, I am ADD, but go ahead.
Well, then I'll steer you onto something else, and you'll just jump on that like a squirrel.
Yeah, get in the nut. Go ahead.
Gavin McFadden.
Yep.
Name ring a bell?
Yep. Was it found yesterday or today?
Actually,
I think it was Saturday. I think it was Saturday.
I think so, but add another name to the Friends of Bill.
Well, that would be number 47, and I was going to discuss that a little later on. But the thing is, they said on the right media they say found dead, bold letters everywhere you look. Right media says found dead. Left media says he was not found dead. There's no suspicion of anything going on. Well, when you read the actual report, there is no, at least as I've read this afternoon, there was no definitive answer why he died. Now, he was suffering from some kind of lung cancer or something like that. I don't remember what it was. But, it is breaking news, and you have to wonder. I mean, he's with Assange, and he's with, WikiLeaks, and he's dead. What's going on there?
And for anybody that's listening that doesn't know, Gavin McFadden was Julian Assange's mentor.
Yeah, he wasn't his sidekick. He was his mentor. Kind of like how you look up to me, right?
His mentor. Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah,
I would not go that far.
No, all jokes aside, he was truly the guy's mentor. I mean, he was a very strong advocate for getting to the bottom of the story, which unlike media today does.
He was one of the founders of investigative journalism. I did read that much of it today, and and he had his own group, and then Assange really looked up to the guy, and he was one of his closest friends there in London. So anyway, with another mark in the bedpost for the Clintons there.
Yeah, I mean, one way or another, they won that battle. Whether they had something to do with it, which I don't know at this point. Maybe we'll hear more about it when they determine how he was found. But I mean, the list, like you said, of the deaths associated with the Clintons. And I'm not saying this one is. This one right now, I will say, is a little questionable because he may have actually just died of natural causes. Which honestly, for him, I hope he went peacefully, and natural causes was the reason.
Right. Yeah. I don't disagree there. I really hope so. And it's a sad thing, especially when you think Assange is stuck over there in the embassy, and he can't even leave to go to a friend's funeral because of fear of getting captured and deported.
Right. Well, now I think the latest report, and I think he may have said it, was that right now he's still being protected by the president of Ecuador. Now, I don't know how much protection he's really offering him from getting caught, but with the money the Clintons put out there and what they may offer Ecuador, who knows? They may wind up coughing him up.
Well, I mean, that Kerry was over there when they cut his internet service, and so that the states had something to do with that. Well,
Kerry probably had as much to do with that as Bill visiting the Attorney General before Hillary's inquisition.
You're right. It's.
And I would have to say that's probably a very fairly true statement, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, there's not a doubt in my mind. That there's some truth to that.
But it is a sad situation. Like I said, I really hope that the man just died of natural causes.
Well, yeah, we all do. But when you go back and you look at the things that have gone on, I mean, there's WikiLeaks emails showing that they 2 or 3 days before Justice Antonin Scalia died of quote natural causes at the vineyard that was owned by a huge Obama liberal supporter, that there was emails passed back and forth talking about wet works, and anybody who knows anything about the term wet works knows that that's a KGB term for assassination.
Oh, they had so much
3 days
stuff
before.
Yeah, they had so much stuff on that. I mean, I have no doubt that they're behind that. I mean, the when you really track using her terminology, follow the money. Well, that's exactly what you do with her. Follow the money, and it's going to lead back to her. The emails, I don't know if I shared it. I was going to. I think I actually had a phone call come in before I hit share. But the WikiLeaks, which it is kind of boring if you want to read through all the emails, but WikiLeaks emails, you can get the link and go through it day by day, sort it however you want. You can search stuff. It's really kind of cool to go through her email scandal, and you can pull it up, and you see the hatred that she has, which you and I have talked about many times. And the rest of her camp, is kind of pushing that because they're afraid of her. Bottom line, they are scared to death of her.
Oh yeah, absolutely they are. That and they have a right to be scared of her. I mean, this woman is not one to play with.
I mean, how many times you think she said, "I know where you live"?
Well, and they're all her people, so she does know where they live.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But anyway, on to the second thing that I wanted to point out is one of the WikiLeaks emails that I was reading today, something I've been saying for several months now, is there's some emails out of the Clinton camp that says that their way of what's the term I'm looking for? Anyway, what they're doing is these poll numbers. They're rigging these poll numbers to make people think that it's over.
Yeah, the best thing I heard, and it was on what the show The Five, I think is what it's called on Fox, and
Right.
I don't even know other than Juan Williams who the other people are on there. But the one guy said that the poll numbers were kind of like Play-Doh. They just massaged them however they wanted you to interpret them. I mean,
all they do is they. Go ahead.
I was going to say that's exactly what they do, because right now, today, and DJ Scotty and I were talking about this earlier, is as of today, Trump has Florida. Boom, has it. Tomorrow, I guarantee you the polls will show Hillary is ahead in Florida.
Well, I read one yesterday, not to do with WikiLeaks, but this was I think some exiting polls that they were doing on early voting in Florida, and they said that according to the exit polls out of Florida, that Trump will win by a landslide.
That's what I read, and I'm guessing, because the good thing about you and I having conversations about politics is the fact that we listen and watch a lot of different news media outlets. And that brings up a topic I was going to talk about. And if you need to go, I'll let you go, or I'll go ahead and mention it. You call the shot.
Go ahead.
All right.
No, go ahead.
What I was
driving for the next 15 minutes.
What I was going to bring up, and again, there's probably not many topics that we can talk about that we haven't discussed at some point in even our short run of doing the radio show. But one thing that is for sure is back years ago, decades ago, actually, there were up to 50 plus different true media outlets, meaning they were owned by 50 different independent companies. Now they're down to, when we talked last, I was down to 5 or 6. They said reported today 8. So you go from 50 separate entities reporting the news, fighting for the truth, to be the first one to break the true story. I got to get the story. Like the whole Superman Chronicles. Do what you got to do to get the truth. Well, now there's only 6 to 8. They don't tell the truth. They get together and decipher what they're going to tell the public. And that goes back to what James T. Harris was talking about. It's like living in a matrix. They just feed you this stuff, and people don't get away. If people would turn their TVs off for a day or two, get off Facebook for a day or two, just a day or two, walk away from it, go back to your normal life, put that out of your mind just for 1 or 2 days, and then come back into it, I would venture to say a lot of people would see a different perspective on it, because it takes you to get out of something and you know this, for a minute, whether it's like when we teach pistol shooting, when somebody's doing something wrong, you can't consistently let them do something wrong. You have to stop them from doing something wrong and teach them to do something right. So when you're watching TV and all you're taking in is left liberal news, that's the only side you see. I mean, you see that I post all the time. I go to Occupy Democrats. I look on their page, and man, the stuff on there is just crazy. But, I want to see what the other side's doing. And that's what's kind of cool about,
absolutely.
When you and I talk, because we take in so many different media sources, but the average Joe doesn't do that. They have one show locked in. I don't care who it is. They lock into one show and they stick with it.
Yeah. And it goes back to the whole thing you put out on Facebook a couple of weeks ago. Go to your friends list and look up these, Hillary's page and Trump's page, and see how many of your friends like them. And I had one that was on the Hillary page, just like I commented. I know this guy is a diehard Trump supporter, and what's he on there for? He's on there to see what the leftists say. So, there are people out there that do that.
It's just like watching, the football reels of the other team, man. You got to see how they play to know how to play against them.
Oh yeah, but I mean, watching the reels of the other teams doesn't mean you're a fan. No.
Just knowing what's going on. I mean, that's how we keep up to speed. I mean, that's what needs to be done.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And but if you want to know all the good things that Hillary's doing, all you got to do is watch any of the, CNN, MSNBC, any of the major news outlets, and you're going to know exactly what Hillary's doing right.
Oh yeah.
If you want to know what she's doing wrong, you're going to have to dig for yourself.
That is so true. Well, hey, I got to take a commercial break. You know how we got to pay the bills around here, unlike the independently wealthy. We have to keep the lights on.
That's why I'm here and not there, brother.
Hey, I was not referring. I was thinking more of like, the Clintons. They don't, ain't nobody gonna turn their lights off.
They're not independently wealthy. It's all donations from everybody that we hate.
Yeah, and most of her donations are from billionaires. Imagine that. The people she talks so bad about. Mm-hmm.
George Soros.
Yeah, George Sorry. Yep. Which incidentally, I'll say this before a commercial break. Incidentally, did you know that he actually physically owns voting machines in states around the country? Physically, his company, they're property of. Now, tell me that's not a little twisted.
Well, that's the way you do it, because there's no conflict of interest there. He's not running.
No, none whatsoever. All right, my man.
Mm-hmm.
You keep it on the road, and I'm glad you got to make all that extra money tonight.
Yeah, you have no idea. I'll tell you about it later.
All right,
brother. I'll be listening, and hopefully I'll be back in there next Monday. So
sounds like a plan.
I'll be listening, and if you get out of line, I'll call in and straighten you right back up.
I'm sure you will. Thanks so much, my brother. You take care and have a good one out there.
All right, brother.
All right, talk to you.
See you.
All right, boys and girls, we're going to break for a commercial break and be right back with you. Don't go anywhere. Angry American Radio, Highway Jack, back to you shortly. Oh, yeah, YouTubers. What a show. Hadn't even really broke the ice yet. That little commercial will turn that down a little bit. All right, we've got, just for you YouTubers out there that are listening while we're doing a commercial break on the app, Lady Liberty's going to be calling in about 30 minutes, so she'll be on with us, and I'm going to kind of turn it over to her and get some thoughts out of her. Be sure to check her out, like her page on Facebook. And we are about to go back live. Hope you're having a good time with me. All right. We are back with you, Highway Jack. I say we, I mean me. That's right, running so low tonight. But it is Highway Jack, Angry American Radio. So glad to have you guys hanging out with us. Feel free to call in for the next 30 minutes, 20 or so anyway. I'll have some time to talk. So if you got a question, be sure and let me know about it. But back to what I was talking about before, my dear friend and sidekick that's not with me tonight, the Tin Man, called in. We were talking about living in a matrix, and that's kind of where things have evolved, I guess you would say, or went backwards. But that's kind of what it's like. I mean, they tell you what they want you to believe, and unless you get out of that bubble, that's the reality that you're dealing with. So, do yourself a favor, get out of that bubble. If you're, it's just like when you feel bad, if you're in a funk, if you don't get away from that and you stay with it, then that's all you're going to see and feel is that. So, get out of the matrix for a minute. Take a day off. Do yourself a favor. And look at what it's done to this country. I mean, look at your friends. Like Tim was talking about, your friends list. How many of you folks out there have had people unfriend you because of your political views? I know I have. Excuse me. And I know that most of my friends have said the same thing. And that's a sad thing that we've allowed that to divide not just this country, but people that we know and actually have probably loved and considered dear friends, close to our hearts and our families for, whether you were high school friends or whatever it may be. And now you're divided simply because your political views are different. I mean, that's a sad thing, and WikiLeaks has definitely really shed some light on the subject. Let's say that Hillary does win, which, most of you out there that listen to my show really are like me and hope that does not happen. But let's say she does. We still control the House and the Senate. There's still Republicans out there, even though their backbone has gotten weak because they are trying to denounce their candidate. I mean, basically, they're not sticking with him when they should unite. I mean, if the GOP itself would unite around Trump, whether they even don't believe him, which apparently they don't, and stand up for him. I mean, who does he have sticking up for him versus what Hillary's money has bought her? What celebrity has come out other than if you go to the Angry American radio page, you'll see a video posted about several rappers even that have come out in support of Trump because of the things that he's saying that is positive for the economy to bring this country back around. And that's what we need to do. But again, do you see, I mean, if you really look, real deep, you'll see a few celebrities that are behind Trump, but most are not, because they themselves do not want to be alienated and to have people boycott their movies. Because while the right party talks about boycotting a liberals, movie, whether it's any of the action guys that make all their money shooting guns that turn around and say they're against the Second Amendment, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We say we're going to boycott their movies, but you don't. You still go. I know you do. I mean, some of you may, but they're still selling in big numbers. I mean, they have infiltrated every part of everything that you watch that's media related. It's not just the news anymore, guys and gals. It's the news. It's movies. It's TV shows. I mean, a lot of shows, some of my favorite shows, they're politically gear driven, and they are sometimes biased. Sometimes they're neutral. Hopefully the writers are creative enough to be neutral about it, but sometimes the storyline just doesn't fit that agenda. So again, your talk radio, whether it's even sports talk radio, I mean, with all the knee dropping, during the flag ceremonies and all this stuff. I mean, they're in every aspect of media that you take into your day, even regular radio. I mean, you've got commercials on there from one party to the other. So again, as tough as it is for all of us, take a time out every now and then. I mean, like when I go for a motorcycle ride, or go hunting or something of that nature, that's my time to not deal with anything really. I mean, as far as from a mind-boggling perspective, and that's my downtime, my relaxed time. And I hope that you have some out there too. Now, I'm not trying to be life coaching you, excuse me, but I mean, that's what you really need to do, is take a time out and get away from this stuff and come back with a little bit cleaner perspective about it. I mean, all these people talking, like when you talk about perspectives and they're against the left and against the right, and they say they're both, corrupt and horrible and whatever. I mean, looking at a third party vote really, really doesn't help much. Back in when Clinton, Bill, the male of the two corrupt, was running against George H. Bush Sr., and you had Ross Perot, which I actually thought Ross had a chance for a little while when it first started out. But in the end, you had Bill Clinton was 43%, George H. was 37.4%, and independent votes was 18.9%. So what did those votes get? They got an election for Clinton. So, I tell people that all the time. Voting third party, as much as you may think it's the right thing to do, and hey, it's your vote. Okay, I'm not telling you not to do that. I'm just saying that personally, I believe that leads more to Clinton winning not only popular vote, but electoral vote. So that's, kind of where I'm at on that. I'm not down for voting for a third party. And quite honestly, there's not a third party candidate that I've seen in this election that would be worth a vote anyway. But, that's my opinion. If you got a different one, hey, feel free to call in and we'll debate it, because, I like to do that, but Second Amendment. Wow. Hillary come out in the last debate and said she was for the Second Amendment. Excuse me. What a joke. Because then she turns around and then states to her people, after she's off the media where you're talking to left and right, she states to her folks that she's going to get guns at all cost. All cost. She wants to go the Australian law, which if you look at their crime rates, they're not what she's saying. Again, when you fact check Hillary, which is which, golly, it's got to be ridiculous for her to go on a debate and say, hey, if you want a fact check, go to my website. That's right, boys and girls. Go to Hillary Clinton's website and fact check. You think that might be a little leaning to one side? You think she's going to be honest and say, oh, yeah, I told a lie last night? No, I don't think it's going to happen. So, that's hilarious. But they had, like she said, that, Russia, 17 government agencies said Russia was the one that had definitely stolen the emails. Well, that's bogus. they fact checked and found out, no, that's not true. There are not 17. There are 1 or 2 that think it's a possibility. But it's a joke. I mean, she throws stuff out there and people buy it. And that's the sad thing. And that's why I tell you, like Tim and I were just talking, check out what the other team's saying and then check it against what you've got going on. And you'll see there's a big, big difference. And yeah, I'm checking messages you guys are sending me in. And I appreciate the messages. And incidentally, if you're watching, whether it be on YouTube or if you're listening on the app or on the World Wide Web, once I get Lady Liberty on the phone, you will need to message questions in because we were not able to get her part of the show to where we could have her not tying up the phone line, which is cool. We will let her tie up the phone line with us. Not a problem. But if you have a question, you're going to need to send that via message either to the Angry American Radio page. You can also, I'll try and check the YouTube chat, but that's really difficult for me to do. As you can see, I'm by myself on YouTube. So it's kind of tough to do. So send it to the Angry American Radio Facebook page. And if you're not on there, send us a friend's request and we'll try to get you approved to send us all your messages. And you get to see, because we get people put stuff on the page from around the world. I mean, predominantly from our continent, but we do get stuff from, believe it or not, from Australia. And it's interesting to get stuff from them talking about Second Amendment rights because they are definitely not happy with the law they have going on. But excuse me again. WikiLeaks has definitely been an eye-opener for the American public, I'll tell you. And, here's the thing. And even Limbaugh back in the day was ticked off saying that, the guy was a terrorist and all this stuff and a traitor and was basically a double agent. I mean, they've said everything they can about Assange. But the thing is, I can't say that I agree with everything. Somebody's feeding him his media, okay? He's getting that news from somewhere. And it's funny that everybody in the Clinton camp is complaining about the fact that he has stolen information. Okay, he didn't steal it, but they're claiming he has stolen information regarding these emails because they are actual emails. However, Trump's taxes get stolen and they report them gladly. So they have, again, no problem coughing up Trump's taxes. And so what? They're stolen. And when the guy was interviewed from the Clinton camp today, they asked him what he thought about that as far as them being stolen. He's like, well, I don't know where they came from. Well, really? Well, we don't know who got the information to WikiLeaks. So you're saying they were stolen? How do we know that somebody in your own camp didn't just forward email? I don't know. Who knows? We may never know. But the thing about it is the truth is out there and they're going to have to deal with it. And like I said, even if Hillary gets elected, which, oh man, help us if she does. We still have, the battle is not over. We may not have the candidate in there that we want, but we are really, really going to have to fight really tough to keep her under wraps. And when the elections come up and we're voting for Senate chairs and everything else that goes on in our states, whether it's, local legislation or legislators, you guys are going to have to pay attention. You're going to have to really start voting because at that level, your vote is going to change some stuff. And these people that are up there saying they represent you and are not truly representing you. And, we broadcast from Georgia, and trust me, there are quite a few folks that I disagree with and I voted against, but we're going to have to become more active on that. But, this whole thing about the polls, you cannot trust this polling. Even that we have, 08 and 2012 when Obama pretty much swept Florida. Right now, it's looking Republican, and there's a reason for that. Now, I will say Obama is a very well-spoken man. I don't agree with him, and from the latest of Michelle's speech, her mannerisms, her voice pronunciations, everything that she was articulating looked more, and in fact, in some cases, better than Obama. But I'm assuming, and you know what they say about that, but I'll do it anyway. I'm assuming that if she didn't have the same speech coach as Obama, he probably, tutored the same thing to her that he learned firsthand. But, for the first time, thank goodness, Florida is a red state, and we hope that Georgia hangs on. No, I do not have a Hillary cough, so don't anybody even comment about that. I don't want to hear it. I have allergies. That's right. I never thought when I was younger I'd have allergies. Holy cow. I hate them. Hate it, hate it, hate it. Wish I'd have stayed with the shots. It'd be over by now. But, again, the liberal media is crushing this country, guys and guys. We've got to hold them accountable. Right now, Trump leads Clinton 42-39 in Florida. Okay, let's see what tomorrow and later. Overall, as a nation, the point spread is about 5%, which is, they say, is you can't make that up. Well, I don't recall the numbers from Clinton, and there we go with the again. Boy, I'm really bad with that tonight. But from Reagan and was it the Reagan Carter? Yeah, it was Reagan Carter. The spread was huge, and now huge, like Trump says, it's going to be really bigly. He's not the best speaker, but at least the thing about the man is you got to give him an A for effort when it comes to being passionate. I mean, you really do. He has been preaching the same thing, which Hillary said today in her latest, and I think she's up to doing like even 2 rallies a day, which for her is really big. Of course, she's having help, and he's doing like 2 or 3 a day, and I think he's got 7 planned for Florida altogether. But they're saying he's going to win really big in Florida, and let's hope it stays that way. But we'll have to see. And polls, just don't take it to the bank, guys. Don't never give up. You just never give up. I'm looking through several media's prints that I have. You guys got to bear with me. My allergies are really kicking in for some reason. But Ronald Reagan, again, he was not expected to come back in 1980, and he won huge. All right, that's I got to hold some stuff to talk with Lady Liberty about. She'll be calling in about 15. So I'm trying to get in my commercial breaks so that we can take care of a good time with her when she calls in, let her get some stuff out. So we're going to take a pause for the calls. That's right. We'll be right back with you. A little commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned in. Again, it's Manic Monday Radio, Angry American Radio style with your man, Highway Jack. Crazy behind the mic, and it's about to get crazier. So again, stay with us. We'll be right back at ya. All right, YouTubers, you got to bear with my nose scratching, and I'm sure I'll get some static on some personal message. Oh, Tinny. I'm guessing he's probably listening to the app. He just messaged me, cocaine. Really? Give me a break. I can't afford that. Even if I wanted to do that, I couldn't afford it. Oh, Lord. What is going on in the YouTube world, man? I'll tell you. It's crazy. Cocaine. I couldn't afford that if I had to, and I wouldn't waste my money on it. You got to say I do this without, I have to do it all and don't even get a bathroom break. Got an interesting topic coming up for you. Oh, let me check the messages while we're waiting on that. All right, you are back with Highway Jack, Angry American Radio. What is it? It's Manic Media Monday, I guess. That's what we'll go with. Why not, right? Everybody's got to have some kind of title thing out there. But check this out. Let's flip it for a minute. And this is Angry American Radio. And by no means when I started this show was my intention to be strictly political. It is about Angry American. So here's a question for all my listeners out there. First off, if you watch The Walking Dead, did that last night's season premiere just not make you insanely pissed off? I mean, that made me one seriously angry American. I mean, Rick was the biggest wimp he has ever been on the show. I mean, they should have put him in a diaper. He just sat there, had plenty of chances to do something different, and the dude just sits there and gets kicked around and drug around. I mean, I thought it was poor writing. And we were going to talk about angry stuff. That made me mad, man. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This guy's supposed to be Mr. Tough Guy. It's like, Jack's on Sons of Anarchy. When he goes on talk shows, you think he's all tough, and he gets on talk shows and he's a little wimp. I mean, come on, dude, you're out there killing zombies and you can't man up against a dude that's got a baseball bat and you got an axe. I mean, what the crap? It's definitely not one of us, man. Give me a break. I thought for sure I'd get some hate messages on that one. Nobody said anything. I guess you're stuck in the media matrix you can't get out of, huh? Oh, Lord. I'm about to go lose my mind up in here, y'all. I'll tell you, this whole year has been crazy. And actually it goes back further than that. With all the election stuff, it's really sad. I'm looking at some posts, and you guys sent in, and I mean, seriously, everybody gets ticked off and commenting on my lost their friends. Just got to, let me see. I guarantee you this message coming in right now. Yeah. Lost my friends on Facebook over politics. Wow. I mean, it's all over the place. Matter of fact, I had a message rather sent to me. It says, Facebook is causing me to hate people. If you know who you are, you can call in and announce, or you can message, actually, because I'm going to be taking Miss Lady Liberty calling here in a little bit. And yeah, you're right. And we seem like, and here's the thing, while the country is loaded with Democrats, and yes, boys and girls, they are, according to all the polls, and again, I don't really put a whole lot of into that, but there are more Democrats in this country than there are I was about to say Americans, but that would have sounded pretty bad. That was not what I meant, but more than conservatives, Republicans, are you third party people. But, it is crazy, because even some Democrats, surprisingly has said, you know what, I am not voting for Hillary. And that's huge. I mean, and it's not just some. I mean, I've talked to a bunch, and I travel the Southeast, and I've had several people that I actually thought were conservatives, honestly. And then we get to talk about politics because you think you're kind of in your safe zone. You got your friend there that's another conservative, and then they announce to you that they would normally be voting Democrat, and you're like, what? I never would have thought that. But then they tell you they're not going to, for the reasons that everything that we've just said. And I'm not going to get into on the debates. I might ask Lady Liberty what she thinks about the abortion thing. I'm not going to speak to that because, that's there's so many variables in the whole process of choosing the abortion thing. And I know Hillary is trying to talk about what she's doing for women, but there's actually a book out there about the Clintons and their women. And let me see if I can talk and if I can multitask and pull it up for you at the same time, because they are not by any stretch of the means for women's rights. They are for their rights, their money, how much money they can put in the bank. And that was another thing that was fact checked. And I don't recall the actual number Hillary spouted out, like, millions or billions of dollars that she sent to Haiti. Didn't they get down there and find out, after fact checking it, that they spent very little money, just like, she says 90% of her Clinton foundation money went to charity. And we know it's already been proven that it really went back into their pockets. So, you really, guys, don't believe what I tell you. Don't believe even what you see on the mainstream media, obviously, but fact check it. I mean, get on, and be careful where you look, because you're going to find a lot of stuff that's out there that, it's called Clinton's The War on Women. So, I mean, that was pretty simple. Took me a minute, but check that book out. And there's also the new movie, actually, that was just released. And I never remember the dude's name, or I can't pronounce it anyway. I want to say Assange, but, and that's pretty bad. I'm sitting here on a radio show and can't remember the guy's name that I'm talking about. But, hey, I'm American, deal with it. Just another American dude that gets sidetracked real easy, as Tin Man was easy to point out. I'm going to look it up. And he could probably tell you he's pretty good at this cat's name, but he's got the Hillary movie out. And unfortunately, it's a pay-per-view kind of thing, which, man, I was really surprised. I thought maybe Trump would have paid for it to be free for like the first 30 days or something. And I can't even remember, don't even know the guy's name well enough to to spell it to pull it up. But anyway, it's the latest Clinton movie, and I haven't seen it yet myself. I got to check it out. I have watched some in the past that I thought were pretty doggone interesting. So pull that up and check it out. And here's another thing that we're talking about, what makes you mad and makes you angry. And I'm trying to hold some stuff back for Lady Liberty to call in when she does. So I'm kind of dancing a little bit, but we're just talking about things that make you angry out there. And, DJ Smiles brought up a good point. She does a ladies show on Thursday, and she's really, and I got to commend her for this, shout out to you, girl, because you're really rocking it. She has taken a lot of time and effort in supporting this petition going against the military having to pay reenlistment monies back and things like that. And that's also shared on our page, along with, I believe it might be on the Just for Fun page, but they're trying to get these people to send bonuses back 10 years later. I mean, seriously, you're going to do our vets that way? Oh, wait a minute. We got vets dying waiting to get in line, which is another thing that I cannot believe. They talk about how much money, I forget the millions of dollars spent on artwork for these veterans hospitals, but yet we can't get our people in there. Now, you got to give it to Trump. He's brought up some good things. Obamacare, like I stated earlier when Tin Man was on the phone, is going to double next year. Okay, that's what it's predicted to do, is double. So if you think you're paying a lot of money now, you're about to really come out of pocket. And I'm telling you, me for one, I'm not digging that. I'm not at all. That is not going to have it. But our vets can't even get in the hospital. Trump has a good plan on that. And go to his, I'm not going to go down all his stuff, but go to his website. If you really doubt and you're not certain what he is talking about, get to his website, and we'll talk about his Gettysburg speech here in a few minutes. And again, I'm kind of holding that out to see what Lady Liberty has to say about that. But you go to his website, you'll see what he's got going on. But he's wanting the vets to have a card to where if they can't get into a veterans hospital, they can go to their local doctor, go get seen, get taken care of, and let them take care of the bill. And that's the way it should be. Our veterans are dying at 22 on average per day. Depending on the year, 5,000 to 7,000 veterans a year are dying because they're not being able to get health care. And most of it is mental health care. I have to say, again, we try to do a lot with PTSD, people suffering from PTSD, I should say, and we are looking to try to expand that. But it's tough on these people because they can't be seen. And I mean, you don't know when you walk by, and this should change. I've not been a big proponent of giving money away at corners. I went through a time after news, I think it was Channel 2 News broke here in Atlanta about how many people were faking that they needed money. But I put that aside. Years ago, my daughter at her school, they had a little fundraising thing. They got together and they put packets together to give to homeless people. Now, we assume they're homeless because they're standing on a corner. And instead of giving them money, you bought these packs, which were put together with things they needed, toothpaste, toothbrush, toiletries, energy bar, water, things like that. And you would just take them and go give them out to people standing on the street corner. I hope, and I would like to think that all the ones that we gave out went to people that really needed them. And I thought that was a really cool idea. And it got my mind thinking, yes, it was reported that a lot of people are doing bogus campaigning of their homelessness on the corner and then going and getting in whatever vehicle they're driving. And some of them probably nicer than the one you're sitting in. But you can't put your mind into that much thought of that, because there is a big chance, and probably more so than a negative. And incidentally, in the retail mindset, when everybody complains about customers being bad, now it's been a few years since I ran retail, but in the retail mindset, it was only 2% of the customers that were bad. But that always ruined your day because it made you, sour on the other 98%. Well, don't let that do that to you on people that are in need. DJ Scotty for a while was posting many times where he was going out and would buy somebody, take them into McDonald's and buy them a hamburger or something. If you are worried about giving money, don't give money. Do something like that. I know our days are busy and you can't, if you see somebody on the corner, chances of you going to the corner store and buying them something, it might be tough. But see if your local schools or Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts or whatever has a program that has something like what I just mentioned that my daughter's school did. And you know what? It doesn't even have to be done at a large level like that. You can do that yourself. I mean, you could take, if you spent $40, imagine the little small things you could go to a local store. I won't give any names, but a local store and buy some 99-cent toiletries, some protein bars, some waters, put it in a gallon bag and give it to the people on the corner. If you don't want to give money, and I'm not telling you to do that every day. I'm just saying we have let the politics of America today distract us so much from being human to one another. I know of class reunions and get-togethers, holiday parties and stuff that have absolutely been canceled simply because of political arguments. I mean, and that's what they are. We are supposed to have the freedom of speech, and your right to free speech does not impede my right. In other words, just because you disagree with me doesn't mean I can't say what I want to say. And that goes back to the whole thing of people, one, not wanting to support Trump. And if they do support him, I guarantee the polls are so far off because of this right here, simply because people that are wanting to vote for Trump or will be voting for Trump are not telling anybody because they don't want to have to deal with the retribution of being labeled, like the Trump folks have been labeled haters and all this stuff. And who is really doing the hating out there? It's not the conservative. I mean, look at the recent release of all the video footage of everything that has been done by the Democratic Party, and they have supported it quietly at Trump rallies. All that violence that the Clintons claim was Trump related or Trump instigated is not true. And just got a message from Lady Liberty. She's going to be calling in, so I'll probably get interrupted, which is okay by me. But, that's another thing that was so funny about the debates is she's sitting there talking about, the Trump rally, you guys instigate all this stuff. Well, whoever wrote that speech for her didn't know that the day before they were going to release all that stuff about the Dems doing the Trump hate. So let's see who's on the phone calling in right now. Hello, you're on the air with Highway Jack.
Hey.
Well, hello. I'm guessing that this is Lady Liberty.
It is. That's me.
I thought I just in case you wouldn't listen, I just told everybody that you were probably going to interrupt me, and you did, and that's okay. Interrupt my train of thought. I was speaking something about that you really are probably really fond of, and that would be all the great hate that the Democrats have just been found to do at the Trump rallies that she accused Trump of doing at the last debate. And what I was saying was, apparently whoever wrote that speech for her did not pay attention to the news the day before when all that broke, that the Democrats were actually behind all of the hate going on at the Trump rallies. Not all, but the majority of it.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting when those videos hit. Everybody kind of jumped on and started sharing them. She clearly doesn't pay attention to the very people she's trying to govern with her presidential candidate, or she would have seen that. But that's just me, maybe.
No, that's not just you. That's people that pay attention. That is people that pay attention.
Right.
Which, I'm curious, and I've got a lot of stuff for us to talk about. I'm going to really let you do a lot of talking because I know you've got a lot to get through. But, and I did what I always do, shiny things. As we spoke earlier, I just lost my train of thought completely. I've been rambling for an hour about the way politics is done in this country. So I'll tell you what, I'll let you go ahead and tell a little bit about what you got going on and who you write for and what you're all about. And hopefully we'll be able to go forward that conversation and people will totally understand what we're talking about. So go right ahead.
Let's hope so. I just, I write a lot of articles for Fury News, Prissy Holly and them. I just picked up doing some for Patriot Nation also. And, we're trying hard to keep up with the news and get everybody what they need to know as fast as we can. But it seems that even the news has beat us. It's constant, nonstop, and it's all just craziness. I actually took the weekend off this weekend. I just kind of went MIA from everything for a little while. So I'm still catching up myself to whatever happened this weekend. But I personally, as one of the, I guess what we call ourselves as a truth seeker type, media person, was dealt a pretty heavy blow when I found out that Gavin McFadden had died. So I've been a little depressed about it the last couple of days. He's the original founder of WikiLeaks. Not many people hear his name ever. He kind of stays in the background, but he passed away recently.
Yeah, well, that's what the the Tin Man called in a little bit ago and was bringing that up and talking about, how he, was pretty much Assange's mentor. And we still don't know, and you and I think, talked about this or messaged earlier today, we still don't know the truth. Or have you heard or the truth of what his natural causes or his death was? Or?
No.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I do know he battled lung cancer for a long time. What mainstream media and regular sources are saying, of course, is the lung cancer got him. And if it did, either way, my prayers go out to all of them, him and his family and WikiLeaks. I know they're all close. But then again, I don't like to be a tin hatter, but it's kind of convenient, that it's this close to all that. And if anybody knows who he is, he controls a lot of WikiLeaks. So, I mean, there's going to be a rumble in that atmosphere for them for a while. So, I mean, it's really hard to tell. We can have our conspiracy theories, but until somebody can find something legitimate, I know it looked suspicious if you're really paying attention, but then again, he was sick. So, I mean, one doesn't ever really, Coincidence does happen. I'm not one that really believes in them ever, but they do happen. Well,
and he was 76. Like I said, he had some medical issues, which, again, like you and I said, and prayers and condolences to his family. But we've seen people die that we thought were natural causes or come up missing that we thought, they just come up missing, whether they went for a swim and didn't come back because a shark ate them or whatever. And then you find out years later that they had some Clinton knowledge and they shouldn't have,
Right. And we know he did for a fact. I mean, everybody knows that, so that was no secret. I truly hope that's not what happened. I hope he was surrounded by his family and went peacefully.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I hope he had that opportunity. Yeah, I mean, she doesn't really give people that much of an opportunity to pass gracefully that way, but I hope that's what happened, if it did have to happen.
Well, it's funny you say that because, and I forget which one of her rallies, but at one of them, she said that Trump's death would actually be good for the economy. But unless you were watching her spit that out, and then there was, I forget who it was, and had said, oh my God, I wish she hadn't have said that. But, again, she went, whether she was off her meds or whatever the deal was, she spits that out, but nobody hears that on mainstream media.
Right. And she's actually said that a couple of times. She, it's kind of like when she talks about taxes. I actually just posted this short video meme where she's pumping everybody up, talking about, rich elitists and their taxes and stuff. And then right at the very end, she says, I'm going to raise taxes on the middle class. And everybody's cheering because they were distracted by the first thing she said.
Right.
She does that. She does that a lot. She said the Trump death thing probably 3 or 4 times. People haven't noticed. Yeah. It's pretty interesting how she does that, and people just don't catch it.
Well, in her emails, I don't know how much of the email stuff you've seen. I've read quite a few, and they're really daunting to read. But there's several times that they have talked about her, and even in her 2008 campaign, I believe it was 2008, wasn't it, that she was against Obama, but that, some of the things she said that they were like, holy cow, she said that, how are we going to fix it? And then they had a doctor, I forget who it was now, what talk show I was watching. Anyway, they had, it was a guy from, as much as I hate to use this name because a lot of people are going to jump conspiracy thoughts right away, but, InfoWars, the British dude, I think he is on there, was talking. They had a doctor review all of this stuff and how she acts, because like that one time you remember where she was cuckooing. Do you remember that little video with her and Bill and she started cawing like a bird?
No, I heard about it, but I haven't had the fortitude to go look.
You have got to check. It will make you go, what the crap? But they showed different interviews of her, and like one, she was talking to Waters or somebody, and all of a sudden she just starts laughing for no reason at all. She just starts laughing. And the interviewer's like looking at her like, oh my God, what the crap do I say? And until she quits laughing. But they basically said with that blood clot, hemorrhage or whatever you want to call it, these are signs from that. In other words, her memory is not good, which, I have no doubt, because at one time she was reading the teleprompter and she's reading it and it says smile, and she says the word smile instead of smiling. She says smile. And it's stuff like that, it's simple. Yeah. You would think, well, maybe she just read it wrong. No, if you really look at this stuff, and I'll have to try to find a video and send it to you, that interview, because it was very interesting. All the stuff they pointed out from a medical standpoint that was vetted, and she could very well still be suffering from that blood clot she had.
Yeah, I mean, she could. It's possible, but then again, you have to remember this is basically a lifelong career criminal that has deceived people, whether she was in a place to deceive them or not. Not like I said, I'm not really into conspiracy theories, but is she really sick, or does she just have issues that we all assume she has mentally? You know, either way, she shouldn't be running for what she's running for. She shouldn't be running for anything, in my opinion, ever. But you know, if she's really that bad off, what good is she going to do this country? And that's what gets me with liberals is, okay, let's take away everything that you hear conservatives say she's doing. Let's take all that away. Watch her interviews, watch her speeches, watch all this stuff, and really pay attention without dealing with the issues. There is not one of them where she doesn't do something wacky. Nothing. And it's not like a character flaw. It's clearly something is wrong with this woman, and it's gotten worse over time. How do you feel comfortable with putting her in control of a country that not only is meant to do what it does worldwide, but is in such a state of disarray? How can you feel comfortable with a woman that can't remember to tie her shoes to run this? You know, how can you do that? It doesn't make any sense to me, even if you erase everything she's ever done wrong, which, let's admit, is pretty expensive. I mean,
you could never do
daily that. She's doing something wrong. Exactly. So, I mean, it amazes me, the reasoning, you know, and you watch these videos, they go to college campuses and they're like, you know, what has Hillary accomplished that makes you want to vote for her? And they can't name anything, but they're adamantly going to vote for this woman. Oh. And I'm like, you guys, you should have your voting privileges revoked, seriously. I know it's a right, but at this point,
I love it when they do that.
It drives me nuts.
Oh, I know. And they'll even ask, you know, who is her vice president? They don't, you know, running mate. They have no clue. They ask who the vice president today is, and he's been there 8 years almost, and they cannot tell you. I like the one, and Tim and I are always talking about him, Dice. You know, and he asked, no, I take that back. It was not him that asked this question. It was the girl, and I don't know her name. But it was asking people at college campuses who won the Civil War. And it took literally, and I mean, they may have, you know, changed the timeline. They may have you know, there may have been somebody got it right in the first 10. Who knows? But that's not the way it showed out. It took them a while. And even at that, it still was a lot of folks that could not answer it. Even if they asked 100 people and half of them got it right, half of them got it wrong, they could not tell you what the Civil War was. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's it's amazing to me how we spend on these college tuition, we send our kids to get educated, and our histories have been erased from their memories. You know, that amazes me.
Yeah, they're not educated, they're indoctrinated.
Exactly, which is one of the reasons I push, you know, homeschooling. My own kids are homeschooled, and I'm like, even at a college level, we have to change something because they're wiping our history away and creating this whole fantasy that none of us in our generation, and I'm only 31, so I mean, I'm not far from that cusp, and I'm still sitting here going, wait a minute, what is wrong with you people? You know, you can't erase an entire history like that. I mean, it's just twisted to me. And she's right up there with everybody else trying to do it. I mean, what was she going on in that one debate about Abraham Lincoln and stuff? And I was like, oh, I can't even listen to this mess. It's bad.
You have got to admit, though. I mean, now the left will disagree, but you have got to admit when she said that you were rolling in your chair. You have got to admit that.
Oh yeah,
and then when Trump said, "Oh my God, now she's going to blame Honest Abe," I mean, I was about to fall out. I was like, "Holy cow!"
Yeah.
Oh,
that was up there with the because you'd be in jail comeback. That was a good one. I like that one.
But, that was one of it. So far, that's been. I think I could be wrong, but as the last time I looked, because there is a thing out there on Facebook, and actually it's on. Regular, you can Google it. I don't know who done it, if it was the Washington Post or I doubt it was them, but whoever it was has got the top comebacks of the debate so far, and that was the number one because you would be in jail.
Oh, it was great. It was perfect. Yeah,
and she was totally lost.
I was very proud of him in the last one.
Really, you think he done good in the last one?
The last debate I do, it was he was trying really hard. You could tell to not really be a sarcastic type. But he was being sarcastic with the issues that needed to be brought up. And it irritates me beyond belief with these debates. I try not to watch them, actually. So I ended up watching this one because it was the last one. I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. And the moderator did well, I believe, in my opinion.
Oh, he did awesome.
Finally somebody wasn't, kissing her butt, but,
well, but he still kind of leaned a little bit, you know.
Yeah, her going over, though, is, I think people just get sick of arguing with her and let her talk at this point. It's like, whatever, she's just going to hang herself.
Well, you know, she was a
lot.
Yeah, but she was in college, she was on the debate team, right? Is that not correct?
I believe she was. Yeah. So you're not going to out-talk her.
Yeah. So she's used that's her whole thing that's her game is to do that. And Trump did call all the moderators, as a matter of fact, hey, she's over, you know, and then when they tried to cut him off, he actually was watching the clock and said, no, she went over 2 minutes. I'm going to answer this. And I was like,
that was during the second debate when he got really mad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, when she hung herself a lot during that third debate, when she started going on about, you know, the partial birth abortions and then the toddlers with guns, I was like, okay. So I'm waiting for memes to hit, and not within seconds of that, the memes were coming in about toddlers with guns and abortions. I was like, I knew it was going to happen.
You know, I'm going to tell you,
completely steamrolled that one.
There's a couple of things that go on when she does stuff like that. Either, like you said, she just totally derails, and even by her own admission, and I don't know if she used the terminology derailed. No, she used some kind of like starship thing. I forget what it was when she said she got off pace, but either that she just derailed, or she read the teleprompter that she had in her podium that Trump had turned his off. At least that's the word. Maybe he never had one. I don't know, but she had a teleprompter.
Yeah, I did see the teleprompter, but I don't know what he did with his. I don't know if it was just never there.
His was not on. They have
no, it wasn't.
They have plenty of photos of his not being on, but either she read the teleprompter wrong, or I still think one of two things, because it's funny you were talking about her health may or may not be an issue. And I've really started paying attention, which now she's not doing it, but I say started, I should have said started long ago, paying attention to when she was on talk shows. She's always got something in her back. I mean, she wears those pantsuits, so you don't really notice it that much. But when she leaned over to shake hands I think it was the last debate especially, Trump was behind her, and you could clearly see she had something on. So it was not a wireless mic so she could be on the debate, because they had the microphone at the podium. You know, and
right. And a lot of people try to do the wireless mic thing, and I'm like, no, you would see you see them on the lapel or whatever. It's not there.
It was not a lapel mic. It's either a medicine machine of some sort, or it's an earwig. You know, so I'm kind of thinking it's the earwig, because when she said that, all I could think was she probably misinterpreted what come through her ear. And, you know, she objected.
Probably.
She has objected, and because Trump wanted her drug tested at the last debate, and wanted her to be checked for an earwig. And of course, she shut that down in a New York minute. That wasn't going to happen. But you notice they only showed, you know, at one, I think I'm pretty sure it was a picture of her, and it looked like she had an earwig in. But they only show one side of her. You know, they never do. And the whole split screen thing, what do you think about that? Aggravates the crap. I don't want to see the split screen thing, because
I know they do it to gauge one reaction while the other one is speaking.
Well, show the whole stage.
Right. Just show the whole thing. I really don't want to see, and no offense to Trump, but I don't want to see either one of them that close. I don't need to see both of them standing there like that. Just let them talk already. But I mean, you know, there's been so many things he's requested that I think were fair requests
I agree.
For this kind of a debate, because this is not, and this is the one thing with her I will agree with. At one point she said, I think Michelle Obama said it too, this is no longer politics as we know it. And it's not.
No.
That's actually a good thing. Right. They mean it in a bad way. It's actually a good thing that it's not, because everybody does this, we need a polished, well-spoken, yada, yada, yuppity president. Well, let's go back to the last 50 years, and let's talk about these well-polished presidents who have completely demolished our country over time. Yeah, that's not working for me anymore. So when they come out with this Trump stuff, and he's asking, one of them was, I think it was before the very first debate, he requested, why don't we not have a moderator? Why don't we just sit up here and have a civil discussion like Americans do? Why don't we just talk? And everybody panicked. Everybody freaked out. Oh, my God, no, you have to have a moderator. Well, of course you have to have a moderator, because if you do that, Hillary's going to crawl in a chair and cry like the little twit that she is. And it's just, I don't think he's really requested anything unfair, including the earwig, because everybody knows that they have policies for debates, and that's one of them. But I mean, we all know she has them. She's got something, because she ain't talking, like that by herself. I mean,
I think it should be just like when boxers go in. They check them out, they weigh them in, they have to meet the requirements, and I think that she should.
Exactly.
He was willing to do it. And the thing about, you talk about polished speaking, yes, because if you ever watch, whenever there's a debate coming up or anything big she's going to have to speak on, you don't see her around the media anywhere for like days or weeks before. I mean, when was the last time she gave a press conference? She doesn't do it because right now she is too focused on the questions that she gets in advance, which Trump did call her out on and actually tweeted that as well. But she makes sure she gets the questions in advance, and she actually went off on her staff, which of course they're now saying that didn't happen, but there is proof that she got mad when Lauer asked her a question that she was not ready for because it was not one that she had seen, and she goes back and she starts, just F you, F this, blah blah blah, throws a glass at a girl and all this stuff. And Trump had made reference to her. He said, "I seen you behind the blue screen. Talk about somebody out of control. That's you." But again, our media is crickets on that. And unless you're people like you and I and Tim, and go out and check multiple sources, which is, something we have to do, people don't find this stuff out.
Right, and it's frustrating because we always get called the conspiracy theorists and the right-wing terrorists and all this stuff, and what cracked me up about the third debate specifically about that is she was literally using what she accused us of being conspiracy theories to defend herself.
Right.
Somehow she managed to twist that, and I was like, wait a minute. So, okay, you're not denying that those emails are yours, but now you're claiming that Russia paid Assange $1 million to expose you. So you're okay with what you did and your exposure, but now you're mad because Russia had something to do with it? Who cares who had to do with it? Soros about took down the Russian election, a couple years ago, and they banned him from Russia, but you're chumping up with him. She clearly is, constantly hypocritical on everything.
Yeah, but like you said, she is, I think, kind of playing it a little safe and not absolutely denying the emails, because when they are always, when they do come proven, she's going to have to deal with that. I mean, she has said they were stolen. Yeah. And before you call in, I'd mentioned the fact that, Trump's taxes got released and they used that, but they didn't, when they were asked, well, hey, those were stolen and you don't have a problem using those, they play, well, we don't know they were stolen. We just found out about them. Whatever. I mean,
right. Yeah.
It's just like you mentioned Soros. It's just like him owning voting machines. I mean, what? How does he do? Mm-hmm. How do you get away with this kind of stuff? Because unfortunately, we have become dumbed down so bad that they just buy in. It's like I mentioned earlier. It's like being in the Matrix. They just, everything they're told, they believe is reality.
Oh yeah, and it's amazing to me. It's like how many times they would expose the racist stuff Hillary has done throughout the years, or the sexist stuff she's done, or the homosexual stuff she's done, and those are the groups that she's rallying around her. And I was like, we're not making this stuff up. These are her videos, her interviews, her voice. It's been verified as her, and you're standing there saying it's not real.
Oh, I know.
Come on. The video equipment to be able to make this stuff up. Okay, I'm sorry. I can't do that.
Well, it's like the black girl that did the when she was running against Obama. And I could be wrong. I don't think it was recent. The video's been around, and again, you and I, we take so much in it. Sometimes I have to have paper in front of me to remember. I'm not making stuff up like the alleged girl that did. But anyway, the girl that come at her about, what did she call the blacks something? Wasn't special predator. What was
super predators?
Super predators.
Super predators.
And she totally made sure that girl got out of the room. And all right, well, let's get back to the subject. I mean, she totally did everything she could, ignored that. And she said, well, nobody's ever asked me about that before. Really? Are you kidding me? Nobody's called you the carpet on that? Give it a rest.
And it probably wouldn't surprise me if someone didn't call her out on that. That's the funny part. Is that I don't know if everybody's so terrified to wind up in a body bag in a bathtub claiming suicide, or if they just don't think it's that big of a deal until it becomes a big deal because they don't want to be the ones to say it. But, I mean, I've seen her say it. I've watched the video. She says it. She calls the younger, she's referring to ghettos, if I remember correctly. And she refers to the younger black community as super predators. And I'm like, she didn't stutter. She didn't correct herself. That's what she said. and nobody calls her out on it. And I'm like, how can you not, you know? But then I watched that video you had posted on your site with all the rappers that were coming out finally and saying, you know, yeah, she's calling us this, she's doing that. And that was pretty interesting to finally see that. I had never seen that video. So
yeah, I thought that was pretty. And for the listeners out there, go to the Angry American page. You'll see it. I mentioned it earlier, but it is very interesting. And 50 Cent was the first one that spoke up, and then they showed some video footage of other rappers speaking up. And I was kind of surprised at some of them because, I mean, even though I'm in the music business, I deal with a lot of it. Some of it, you know, you just wonder how much is just like when, you know, Ice-T was getting accused of, you know, wanting to call cops dead because he was had a metal band that one of the songs was, you know, talking about cop killers. But that was not,
right.
Like he said, that was just music. But the problem today's society, they buy into all that gangster music and even the hard metal stuff, whatever you want to call it. They're buying into that being a lifestyle that they need to live, and it's unfortunate. But, you know, it's crazy that the stuff that she gets away with time and time again. And I try to encourage people, like I said, you've got her on video saying this, but you're going to tell me she didn't? You know, I mean, come on. I mean, what does it take? I mean, it's not conspiracy theories. It's the 12-year-old girl. I was telling about the story about the debate that I got into Facebook argument actually and got all the left ticked off on the Occupy Democrats page, which is not very difficult to do. All you got to do is say anything remotely conservative, and you start getting, they come out of the woodwork, you know, trying to debate you, and all they're talking is hate and ignorance. But I was talking about not the porn star, but the one before her that had to read everything off the sheet that she supposedly had, you know, him do to her as far as grabbing her arm. And I mean, she could not say one word about that, but they jump on that and say that that's everything, you know, it's so horrible. And do not condone any type of abuse to a woman, whether it's sexual, physical, verbal, in any manner. But to me, that doesn't, what she had to say doesn't even qualify. But yet they let Hillary get away with what she did to that 12-year-old girl that got raped. You know, now she's in her 40s, I think. She was on, you know, one of Trump's guests at the town hall setting. But she just bashed that girl on the witness stand and said she was out looking for older men to have sex with, and, you know, had this girl crying and then laughing about it. And then, of course, they tried to cover that she was not laughing about the 12-year-old girl getting, you know, basically raped and the guy getting off, that she was laughing about, I think it was the medical examiners, what they had done to the evidence or something. No, if you listen to the tape, she is clearly laughing.
Oh, she's clearly laughing about how easy it was to get a rapist off and to make that poor girl feel about an inch tall. She says it. And she follows the laugh up with what she's laughing about. And I'm like, yeah, y'all, you listen to the whole thing. That'd be great.
Well, and that goes
things off, you know,
that's the media of today. You know,
yeah.
Again, earlier I was saying it used to be whoever got the truth. Now it's whoever can get a story out. Now that the media is only 6 or 8 different entities, they all get together and put the same thing out. But if you listen to the whole context of the audio, rather, which I did, as disgusting as it was, the whole thing is disgusting. I mean, she took pride. First, she said she didn't want the case. Maybe she didn't. I don't know. But once she got it, she dug her teeth into it, and she was so vicious with that girl. You want to talk about hatred for women? You cannot tell me that you are for women's rights and that you could do that. I mean, whether I was a prosecutor, a defense attorney, or anything, there is no way I would have touched that knowing the dude was guilty. And she knew, I know she has a job to do, and I know that attorneys take an oath to do their job and their due diligence. But I'm going to tell you, I would have, as much as the job may be worth to her, to my bank account, I would not have taken it. There's no way I would have touched that with a 10-foot
right. And
pole.
I mean, if right, and defense attorneys kind of have a bad name. I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. I don't like them personally when it comes to that kind of stuff because they're like that. But even if you had taken a case thinking, okay, maybe this guy's in it, right? Yeah, let's just say she didn't know right away that he was guilty. Once you get to the point where you realize he's guilty and you've already taken a case and you kind of can't back out without losing your job, there's a way to handle that witness and that victim and that case where even though you're still doing your job, you're not tearing apart a 12-year-old rape victim. Have a little bit of compassion. you know, even if the guy's guilty, still have a little bit of compassion for this child. She's 12. There's got to be a line of ethics somewhere, even for these, you know, shark fighting defense attorneys. There's got to be something.
Well, right. She could have still defended the guy, and she could have still done her job
right.
to its fullest without being,
exactly.
you know, and I'm not saying that she should have thrown the case, but I'm saying if it were me, as smart as she was back in the day, because she was definitely getting people set free that didn't deserve, she could have, she could have found, if she was truly for women's rights, she could have found a way to recuse herself. There is no doubt she could have done it.
There has to be something. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, people do it all the time.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean, we found the WikiLeaks that basically say that Saudi Arabia is the one that told her not to get the guys out of Benghazi, and they're paying her. We know how they are with their women. You know, every country that has given her donation money, both times, mind you, not just this campaign, but both times, are known to be heavy with Sharia law and heavy with their laws against women, any rights, basically. We know that. And the liberals know that, but they seem to be okay with that when she's running for women's rights. It makes no sense to me.
Well, you know, you say they know that, but, you know, I think they may. It's one of those things, you hear me, but you're not listening. They hear all of that, but they don't.
Yeah, they know it. They just don't acknowledge and get it.
It doesn't sink in. And even Obama being a Muslim, during the last time that he ran against her, he used her money that was given to her against her and did it very well. But, you know, that would, if I was Donald Trump, I would use Obama to my advantage, because he's saying that nobody's fit to be president more than Hillary Clinton. Not me, not Bill, not nobody. And I'm like, seriously?
Right? I love posting the videos of what he said when he was running against her. I love that.
Because those are, I would be wearing those out, you know, but the only place you see them is on social media. And if you don't, you know, if you're not interested in it, you know, me and you can post those all day long. The liberals are not going to look at it. You know,
no. And I have I have a strict policy. Like, I have a lot of people on my page, and I'm always seeing statuses, and they're like, oh, I got into an argument with a liberal on his page today. Why were you on his page? You're not doing any good going over there starting a fight. You just look like you look like an ass. Don't do it.
It's
well, how do you get right? And I've told them, I've had plenty of liberals on my page. They're flag waving, gun toting liberals. They do exist. You don't hear them, but they exist. And it's easy to change someone's mind when all you do is talk on your own stuff. Stop going and attacking other people on their stuff, and then coming back and complaining when they attack you because you have freedom of speech. Now, unfortunately, conservatives are just as guilty as liberals on that front. We all have freedom of speech, say to your own stuff, and we wouldn't have that fight. And I truly think if more people did that, there wouldn't be as big of a fight with this election as there is. I think a lot of it has to do with people digging in because they're sick of being attacked on both sides.
Oh, I agree.
I truly do.
I agree. Hold that thought for just a minute. Let me get a commercial or two knocked out of the way, and we will be right back, and we'll pick up with it. So hang tight just a minute. We run right past them. Let me get them back up here. Oh, app folks, hang on. YouTubers, don't go anywhere. We're going to get a commercial in. Yeah, I have run past it, but it's cool. I can still play it.
My bad.
Oh, no. I do it all the time. But, you know, the fact that I can, you know, it can back it up. I mean, I'm not Howard Stern. I don't have any, you know, Robin running or anybody running this stuff. So I have to roll with it.
That's all right.
It's funny because I see there's some other commentators on even network radio that are running. They're not running YouTube. They're running Facebook Live, which is really tough to try to get in there and do a live, because you're not picking everything up. Like when, you know, callers call in, you don't hear it all the time.
Yeah.
And they take 5-minute commercial breaks, and people are like, wait a minute, what's going on? You know?
Yeah. I got other stuff to watch. What's happening?
Yeah, well, the bad thing is, and I'm not going to call his name out because I did tell him, I said, you know, you have nothing going on, you know, and granted, he's trying to catch up on his messages that he's getting and this and that. But as far as the audience looking in, like right now, at least they hear me talking. They don't, you know, they know that we're not I didn't walk away from the mic, which they do occasionally. They'll just walk away, and you tune in on a Facebook Live, and there's nothing going on. You're like, okay, I guess he's gone. And the guy's actually really good. I like his show a lot, but. Right now. All right, you're back with Highway Jack, Lady Liberty on the Angry American Radio Show. And you'll have to remind me what we were talking about because I told you I get distracted real easy.
I was ranting about everybody having to feel the need to go to each other's side of the bench and argue and fight when not called upon to do so. I truly think actually that's hurt our country, as well as this election for us anyway, in a way that people don't even really see or realize. It's a whole lot of, it's kind of hypocritical. And I got to say that of conservatives too, because everybody does it, and it's like, you have freedom of speech, I have freedom of speech, but we're each going to go to each other's stuff and tell each other they can't say that. And it's taking away from the issues. It's taking away from a debate that could possibly teach somebody something. It's taken away from a lot. People got to stop doing that. I mean, I know it's almost too late now. November 8th is just right around the corner, but it drives me loopy. And everybody's like, well, how come you don't get, put in jail as much? Or how come you're not ranting about liberals all day on your page? And I'm like, because I don't go poke the bear. I'm simply here to teach and speak. If they want to hear it, they're going to hear it. That's why my stuff is set to public. That's it.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And when I comment to that point, when I go on Occupy Democrats, I don't really go on there to start fights, but there's sometimes that I'll just state a fact. That's all I'm doing. And I want to tell you, like I said, they come out of the woodwork because they apparently are not very fond of facts unless they do it fact checking on HillaryClinton.com. But other than that, they don't like facts.
Right.
And right now I'm looking at the Investors Business Daily poll. And right now it shows Trump 43%, Clinton 41%, Gary Johnson, which, whatever, 7%, and Jill Stein 3%, which Jill Stein in Georgia was a write-in. And I voted today and was watching people because they had the write-ins on like every 10-foot section of the wall going down so you would know who the write-ins were. And nobody, and most of the names on there, honestly, I have no clue. I have no clue who they were. But Jill Stein's name was on there, and I was really surprised and I was really listening hard. They were going, oh, yeah, I'm looking. I don't know any of nobody knew who she was, and that kind of surprised me. I mean, I thought they would at least know who she was. She is well-spoken, I think, but.
I have to admit, I'm one of the ones that had no clue who she was.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned it the other day, and they're like, who's that woman running? I'm like, Hillary, and they're like, no, the other one. And I'm like, there's another one.
Yeah, well, that's because she didn't make it, anywhere. And, I don't know if you've ever listened or watched a Gary Johnson interview, but that guy he is not a libertarian. He's a liberal. And he's a loony liberal, as a matter, in my opinion. And I know I probably just ticked off all the libertarians out there. But here's the thing, and I shared this on, I think I shared this on the Angry American page. But there's a little test you can take, and you can Google it. I forget what the survey's called, and maybe I'll post it again. But you can go on there, unknowing, it doesn't matter who you are, and it just asks you a series of questions. And it's not that long either, but they are very good questions, and it tells you where you fall. And what areas you can actually get a breakdown of where, like if it's, abortion or schooling or, and I was surprised. There was some things that come up, and I think it was actually schooling that I agreed with Jill Stein on, but I was 96% Trump. But I answered the questions completely honest. I did not go in and say, okay, I'm going to take this thing so that I come out to be a Trump fan. That's not what I did. And there was unfortunately a couple of things that Gary Johnson, but they were issues that were really, they might have been considered libertarian, but he's not libertarian. If you get what I mean, he is not truly libertarian. He is not, he thinks that open borders are fine, which, I don't see how you can even be an American and think open borders are fine, let alone a libertarian. I mean, look at the. No, I was just going to say, look at the amount of people that, get killed by And I'm not saying all Mexicans are killers. And Trump never said all Mexicans are killers and rapists.
No, they put that in his mouth. He didn't say that.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even come close to saying that. That was not what he said, not what he meant. And you know, when Hillary come up with the Mexican girl that he claimed to call fat and all that stuff, you know, her history, while he did say she was overweight, if you look at the whole video where he said that, he said she is overweight, but when you look at her on stage, you will think she looks magnificent. So what he was saying was for her height, she was overweight given the pageant. But when you see her, because she was going to, by her height, she should have weighed 105 to 107 pounds in pageant mode. Well, she was going to weigh 118. That was their goal. And he stood there, and of course they stopped it when he said she was overweight. But if you watch the rest of the video, he said, but she is going to look magnificent. And I was like, this makes me, I was like, holy, and I did share the whole video, but I look back, not many people watched it, of course, because they don't care, and that's the problem.
No, they don't.
That's the problem. Holy crap.
Well, and today, a lot of, well, really, let's face it, a lot of everything is heavily pushed by what I would call our youth, 25 and down, when it comes to that kind of stuff. And they like to see 2-second smear videos. So it doesn't matter what he said after that. God forbid they watch the whole thing because they don't care. Which is why these people that make these videos end up becoming internet famous and get money off of it. That's they know that that's the gimmick. The bad thing with the labeling, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I could be completely crazy, but I refuse to hold a label. And I hate that you have to have a label to vote. It truly does drive me nuts because I don't think that it should be regulated that way, in my opinion. I don't think it should be regulated at all. I'm an American. It doesn't matter whether I'm a Democrat that has 3 or 4 Republican beliefs or whether I'm a Republican that might kind of sort of be a libertarian sometimes. It doesn't matter. That's what makes Americans Americans, is we have the ability to be open-minded enough, well, we used to jump that border and just simply be American. So when you start putting these labels and you've got 20 of them now instead of just 2 or 3 or 4, people just start throwing things out like you were saying Johnson's not a libertarian. Well, probably not, but that's the one he chose, and that's what gets me is why do we have to have all that? It actually, you're building barriers among the people. Now, as far as voting goes, who the hell cares what I am when I vote for somebody? It doesn't matter. I might be slightly Democratic, but I might like Trump or, whatever the case may be, but you get stuck in this pattern. Like I did an article, we called it the Democratic clean. And that's real bad down here in the South. And basically it's, I'm going to vote Democratic because my granddaddy has always done.
Right.
And they do that. They don't understand the difference. These, nowadays with the Democratic and Republican being switched, I believe we talked about that before.
Right.
And it has over the years, it's flipped. Well, then you add in libertarian and, all these other labels, and there's so many of them now. There's some of them, I don't even know what they mean. I'm like, what is that? Why are we doing all this? And when people ask me and they're like, well, you must be Republican because you're voting for Trump. And I'm like, no, I'm an American. Don't do that. I might have to be a certain way on paper, but to me, I'm an American. Don't label me. You put too many, bars around me for me to be able to believe anything. I have to believe what Republicans believe or what Democrats believe or whatever. And I think that's what's bunched us up into this communistic little compound we're in, to where nobody actually has a right to believe or think anything outside of the bounds of what we call ourselves. And it drives me absolutely loony.
Oh, I agree. But here's the thing I will say about the parties. Okay. The good thing about having a party, and let's call it a team for a minute. A party's fine. We'll stick with party. But a good thing about having a party is, it just sounds funny saying having a party, but we're having a party over here. It's the red party or the blue party, but it gives people a base, because unfortunately, and it is truly unfortunate, people don't pay attention to what the actual views of a particular candidate are. So what it does, and the idea behind the whole having two parties at the time was, this party was aligned with these beliefs, this party was aligned with these beliefs. So it made it really simple.
Generally speaking.
Right. It made it simpler for people to go, okay, well, while, the the red party candidate agrees with X, Y, and Z that I don't really agree with. All these other things he represents, I do agree with. And that just put it in a box, a really clean, nicely wrapped box you could vote in. And that's what made it easy. And it's been so prominent that people vote strictly Democrat or strictly Republican. And I said at the beginning of the show that if a Democratic candidate came across, which, I was jokingly and seriously in a way saying that would probably never happen. But if a Democratic candidate came across that really had beliefs that I believed in, and my Republican candidate didn't, I would vote Democrat. Because again, like you said, I'm thinking American. But again,
exactly.
But the problem you run into is they're still going to be in that Democratic Party. So either we bust the whole party thing up, or the third, the third party is going to come up, which the Tea Party was trying to do, and they failed, unfortunately. So now we've got, what are they calling it? The Green Party now, the Libertarian Party.
So. I don't even know anymore. Yeah.
But, and they do have, as far as from a party's perspective, if you look at it, God, it sounds so funny talking politics. We're having a Green Party, but, from a party's perspective, they do show some things I like, but that goes back to me saying Gary Johnson is not libertarian. And by doing that poll, I got to find that poll. I got to find it because it's so cool. It really makes you think about some of the things you think about, because I don't remember if I had anything. I don't think I had anything Democrat. I don't think. I could be wrong, because let's face it, everybody running has something that you probably agree with just as much as they have 95 things you don't agree with.
Right.
But if you get, if you do away with the party lines, it would be interesting. But then you run into the problem of who controls the House, who controls the Senate. Keep that, kind of put that on the back burner, because then,
exactly,
if you do away with parties, I think that whole structure of things would be lost. And that's where the third party thing comes into being a problem, because let's say that a libertarian got elected. Well, who's going to agree with him? That would be interesting. I have to say that might wind up being extremely interesting, because then the parties would be divided, and then on some things they would come a whole lot closer. So that, I don't know, that might be, I'm not going to say.
And see, that's where I look at it, is when you have everybody that's, running something, let's say they're all Democrats, and a Republican walks in there and tries to shake things up, it's not going to matter what he does. They're all still going to vote the same way because they're in that label and they feel, inclined to do so. Like it's some kind of a mandatory thing. And to me, that's what's broken up our government. I know we've always had the parties, but like I said, there's also been offshoots. There's different names. Everybody claims that they're this or that, and half of them don't even know what it even means. There's a couple labels people carry that I look at them and go, I don't even know what that is. And I'm all up in the middle of everything, and I still am like, what? What does that even mean? So it's becoming confusing, and then our youth is being, like you said, indoctrinated in a way to where they're not even learning the difference. So they're just claiming one thing and rolling with it because that's what somebody basically told them they needed to be. And it's causing a bigger gap in the problem. I mean, look, you just said yourself, if there was a Democrat running, that you agreed with more than the Republican Party, you would vote for that Democrat. Trump was a Democrat just a couple years ago when he ran. He wasn't always on the Republican side, remember? But he's always
I totally agree.
Thing. See, that's my point, is he's never changed his stance on anything, but he went from Democrat to Republican. But his stance has never changed.
Well, there's been several candidates, and I think, wasn't Reagan originally a Democrat? I mean, I'd have to look it up.
I believe he was. There's a few. But see, that's my thing, is these labels mean nothing. All they do is teach the people who are voting that you have to stick with it because that's the brand put on it. It's like Nike's versus Adidas. It doesn't mean anything.
Hey, don't knock me because I don't like Nike, okay?
I don't know either. I'm just saying that's all that Republican and Democrat is. It's a brand, and it's working exactly like the rest of our brands work. It means nothing these days at all. Trump was a Democrat, yet he's always had the same stance, and now he can run as a Republican, and all Republicans are standing behind him because we agree. But he considers himself truly to be a Democrat.
Well, I think I have to agree with you. He really is not a Republican by trade, let's say. but he's a Democrat that leans more conservative. Forget the terminology, Republican for a minute. He does his views, and that's what I tell people all the time. The last 30 years, his views have been the same. I don't care if you call him Democrat, Republican, whatever. His views have been the same. Go back to his Oprah interview, which I loved. He was perfect on that. And today in Florida, I forget what town he was in, he said, look, I never wanted to be a politician, but I can't let the country go the way it's going. And, of course, Hillary turns it around and says, that he's just mean, evil, and nasty. He's trying to line the pockets of the rich. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, woman. Everybody that donates to you is, her largest donators, besides the Syrians and all the Sharia type, are American billionaires. She is, that's why she didn't want to release her speeches to Goldman and Sachs and all these other people, because she's telling them, and it was released in the WikiLeaks emails, which where she has her political face and then her money face. And her money face is the real her. That woman, I don't know that I've met some nasty women, well, people, but women, you guys, I'm going to tell you, you guys can definitely, like they say, a woman scorned is nothing to mess with. But, man, she is wicked. I'm talking just mean, nasty, wicked. And I love it.
And that's the thing, though, is scorned by what? She basically condones what her husband does, so it's not like she feels bad about it.
Oh, I know.
She's just crazy. She's evil, I swear. Oh my God, I don't do the whole religious back and forth evil good thing often, but that woman is pure evil.
Well, what did you think about, we got like less than 10 minutes, but if we go over, no big deal. I'll just deal with Scotty. Did you see the Catholic, oh God, what's the guy's name now? I can't remember where they were both at and spoke.
Oh, Al Smith's charity dinner?
Did you see that? Okay.
I did.
He got really bashed, and I thought he was funny. Okay. He did get a little ornery at the end of his commentary, but for the most part, he was funny, and he was being pretty much himself, in my opinion. But when Hillary got up there, and he got bashed like crazy. Mm-hmm. He got bashed like them guys on Walking Dead last night. That's how bad he got.
Yeah, it was bad. And I mean, he was right. He was absolutely right, and I chuckled, but they were mad at him for that.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Yes, I prefer Trump over Hillary, but if I look at their comment, if you took their voice away and read what they said, Hillary was far worse.
Oh, yeah. She like you said, debate club and all that. She has a way of being able to say stuff and making people hear something else. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I'm not, crazy enough to believe anything she says, but I've watched it, and I can understand where people will look at her and be listening to what she says, and she'll say the last thing, and they're so riveted by the first thing she said, they miss it entirely. Just completely. And
well,
it's just like I've sat in the room with people and watched them do it. I'm like, did you not hear what she just said? And they're like, oh, yeah, she said this and this and this. I'm like, wow, you missed the important part. I don't know how she does it, though.
Well, it's like you said when she was talking about raising taxes, everybody missed that. Now, I personally think she misspoke. I think it was just a mess up in her speech. I don't think she really meant to say, I'm going to raise your taxes. But
no, she's done it 4 times, 4 consecutive times.
Oh, really? See, I don't pay. I have looked for her rallies, and let's talk about her rallies real quick, because we got to put this out there. We talked about this last week, and I actually did some screenshots. But her rallies are such a joke. The amount of people that don't show up versus what Trump rallies. I mean, he's packing 20, 30,000 people on big venues, and on small venues, he packs whatever he can in that place, whether it's 300, 500, 1,000. And there's that many
people still standing outside.
I was going to say there's that many people standing outside. Mm-hmm. She shows up, and they have to move the curtains forward to make the room look like it's full when it's not. And you notice most of the people that are at her rally are behind her, and they show just the front shot. They don't hardly ever show an overview like they do at a Trump rally. And
they don't.
Chelsea went somewhere to speak for, because she's out there and Obama's are out there, and they were expecting, thousands of people. They had 150 people show up, and they moved everything in, and they had just a little screenshot, of just her basically speaking with a few heads around her. It was so easy to tell there was nobody there. But
did you see the picture of her standing on a hay trailer with like 5, 6 people in front of her? Yeah, I love that picture. I have it. It's great.
Yeah.
It looks more like a Bill and Hillary family reunion up in the back skirts of Arkansas somewhere than a rally. It's crazy.
It was horrible, but that's, you know, when you look at that, I mean, the popular vote, he should win by more than a land. It should be probably the biggest landslide ever. You know,
probably.
It really should be. Now, will it be reported that way? You know, who knows? But it definitely should be, because he is killing her. You know, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
You know, not in the way that people would like to see happen, but
right.
I'm
the
with
bad
you.
thing. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm with you on her health thing. They're putting her, you know, wanting to put her in office, and you know, I really think that Kane's thinking, you know, he's a piece of crap, but I'm really thinking he's like, all right, I'm going to be president because this bitch, this witch is going to die. Hey, I made it almost the whole show without calling her the B word.
Yeah, and I've only said ass once, so that's all you.
But, well, it's later in the night. You know, we try to clean it up, but you know, I mean, you know, how can you? Everybody says Trump always looks so pissed off when he's debating her. Well, Trump, first off, he does kind of look like the comedian's little puppet, you know, the Walmart greeting guy, you know. But
he always looks like that.
But you know, more so when he's with her. But like at his rally today, he was more upbeat. He was more comfortable in his own shoes, I guess you'd say. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Don't believe the polls. We're not out of this," you know. And that was what I was kind of digging. You know, was getting the vibe from is at least he's not throwing in a towel, because some people would have thrown in a towel.
Yeah, I don't know, it's getting crazy, but I mean, I would look like a sourpuss too if I was, you know, standing up there next to her and had to deal with her. I don't think I'd ever look too happy, but
I would be in jail.
And I mean, yeah, right, yeah. And everything she said in that last debate, what cracked me up about it the most is that she was literally trying to debate him on every topic that had been proven that she was lying and he was innocent on. Like, you know, calling the girl fat and anything that he had ever done or said that she tried to claim was, you know, him being horrible, we had already disproven. And he was trying to say that. He was like, do you not pay attention? Are you not paying attention to what, you know? And that's all she had to debate on. She had nothing. I haven't once heard that woman actually take on true, real issues. Not once.
Well,
she's too busy bashing Trump.
Yeah, she has a couple of times, but it's all issues she flip-flops him back. You know, I call her, you know, Hillary flip-flop.
Well, right. I mean, truly talk about what she wants to do.
Well,
her
tax plan. Yeah, her tax plan she talks about, you know, it's crap. It's not going to happen. She's not going to lower, you know, taxes and make the rich pay more, which incidentally, if you look at the numbers, the rich do pay a large portion of our taxes. I mean, do people get off on their business tax? Sure they do. They're in business. They're going to take the bribe.
Well, that's the perk of being in business, man. You don't like it, get in business.
Yeah, I mean, get out there in business and find out it's not easy to stay in business. You know, she wants to hammer that Trump, and I know it sucks for those guys that did work for him that they didn't get paid. But unfortunately, that's the price of doing business. Did it put somebody a small business out of business? It may have, and I hate that for them. But again, like we've said, that's the cost of doing business. You know, I've been in the bar businesses, and I say businesses because I've been doing multiple for, you know, well over 20 years. And people, you know, and I had a bar, and I found out the hard way that, and I should have listened to my own advice. And it's just like when you can give good advice, but you can't even listen to your own advice. But, you know, people ask me now, they say, well, how much money do I need to open a bar? And I said, well, whatever you think that you need your operating, whenever you figure your operating capital out, whatever that is, you need to triple it and put the other 2/3 in the bank, because it's going to take you a while to start making money. And they go, really? And I said, if you want the reality of it, I said, worst case scenario, if you really want to gamble, take and double it and put half of it away. But if you want to be a smart business person, put 2/3 of it away, because it's going to take you a while I don't care if you got, you know, the Obama, you know, smile, which you got to give the man his credit. He does win people over. He's a likable guy until you listen to what he says. But
you're right. Yeah.
If you turn the volume down and watched him, you would think, hey, this guy's charismatic. I could go down with, you know, I could listen to him. But he's really, you know, he's not all that in a bag of chips. He just looks like he is. But when you tell people that about business, they don't get it. So he's done what he had to do to survive. And you know what? The Trump empire goes on, and it'll go on after the election. And, I'm sure you talk about having a bullseye. How do you think he feels now? He knows if he loses his election, actually win, lose, or draw, he's going to, his businesses are going to catch every scrutiny that there is out there.
Oh, probably, yeah. Just waiting for him to try to run again. But, and that's the thing. They've tried to take those down, too. And, they like to, in the beginning, they like to do the whole, he's had this many companies go bankrupt. But they don't describe the bankruptcy.
No, they don't.
The companies were going bankrupt. Right. He allowed them to continue to go bankrupt. He bought them, and then he built them back up. Or he consumed them with other companies. So they weren't lost by no means. He let happen what had to happen for the best ending. And that was it. He didn't lose anything, really.
Well, people they just buy into that crap.
Right. And I'm like, hold on a second.
They don't get the whole doing business.
No. And he did the smartest thing he could. And truly, I would probably vote for him on his business sense alone, based on our deficit and our problems as far as that goes. Alone. Because if anybody can do that, it's him. We know it ain't Hillary. Look how much she lost. $6 billion somewhere.
Oh, not only $6 billion, she's got $12 billion in donations that she gave out that she can't compensate or talk about and explain.
Can't find,
right. And I thought it was so funny because she said, making fun of Donald in Atlantic City. How can you lose? What was it, $1 million or $2 million, whatever it was? And and then you're outright. Well, Hillary, how do you lose $6 billion as
exactly
in state, and you can't account for it? Where did that money go? It's crazy the crap that these people don't pay attention to.
Exactly, and I'm like, if you're as rich as he is, misplacing $1 million is probably common. You wouldn't even notice.
And what's so funny is
that's like me losing a 20 in the bottom of my purse. It's
she's trying to talk about. Well, maybe he's not as rich as he makes out to be. Who cares? He's still rich. What does it matter if he's got $100 million or $2 million? I don't care.
Exactly.
Let me think about this. 8 years ago, you and Bill walked out of the White House saying you were flat broke, even though you stole $200,000 plus of stuff out of the White House.
Uh-huh.
And then here we are 8 years later, and you have $200 million at least.
Right.
And you don't have a job? What? Now, she's, Secretary of State and all that, but that's not $200 million worth of income. But yeah, she wants to say, well, he's not as rich as he makes it. Who cares? I don't care. I don't care if he's only got 50 grand in a bank. His business is still right.
Do what he needs to do.
And here's the thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but did he not say when he started running that he would not even take the salary?
He did, and he's always stood on that. He's never changed that stance. He still says he will not take the presidential salary for life. He won't take it.
Yeah, that's what.
Now, I don't know if he means in the context of while he's in the White House or the once he gets out, the for life part. I don't know if he's ever clarified that, but he has always said he will not take the presidential salary. So, I assume he means any of it. I don't really know.
Well, if he said, even if he only meant for 1 year, that's more than anybody else has done. That's, like he said, right. Hillary, I put 30 or 40, whatever, however many millions he's put in his campaign. He said, why don't you put in 30,000 or 40,000? You won't even do that, because she's getting billions, like you said, from people that are willing to, stone a woman, for nothing, basically, saying that being accused of having infidelities, not proving it, just being accused of it, not to mention throwing gays off of buildings. They ignore all that. And that's where she gets her money from.
Right.
And
exactly.
The George Soros.
Oh, God, that puke. I hate that man so much. And his hands are tied into so many things for so many years back. It would take us 30 years to expose everything he's done.
Well, that's how
bad it is. And we can read it all day long, and it still is not comprehensible how large of a scope that man had.
You would never get to the bottom. That's somebody said. One of the other commentary talk shows on the radio said something today that everybody thinks the Clintons are dirty. They said no. The Clintons are owned by Soros. So if that gives you an idea, if you think the Clintons are dirty, think about how bad Soros must be because he owns them.
He's a convicted felon. He's on the run from numerous countries. He's been banned from other countries. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
absolutely crazy.
It is pretty sad, but I appreciate you calling in. It's been, as always, great to talk to you, and we're gonna wrap the show up. But before I do that, I've got to be the gentleman and say, is there anything else you want to share with the listeners out there that they have not heard yet?
Oh no, not yet. I'm sure I will someday soon, but not yet. No, we're good.
Well, and they got to check you out. Are you on Fury's webpage? Or Facebook page as well?
Be, yeah.
Okay. All right. So they can check you out on Fury. Is it furynews.com?
I think it's fury.news.com.
Okay. All right. Well, they can go to Lady Liberty, and I'm sure get all that information. So I encourage everybody to do that. And again, we really appreciate you calling in, and you're welcome to call anytime. And I did get some good messages saying love the conversations. And so, hey, I didn't have a co-host, but I'll tell you what, you sure did a good job for me filling in tonight, and I do appreciate it. And we look forward to hearing from you later, too.
Yeah, well, thank you. I enjoy coming every time.
All right. Well, make sure to stay in touch with us, and we will, like you said, there's no way that you and I can get the news out as timely because so much crazy stuff happens. But again, thanks so much for calling in, and we'll keep pumping it out, and I hope we'll keep the country in the right direction.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
What a team, right? We'll turn it around better than Trump. All right. Well, thanks so much for calling in, and you have a great night.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, guys and gals, that's going to wrap up the Angry American 2-hour special tonight with our great guest. Glad she could make the call, Lady Liberty. That's going to sign me out for Manic Monday Media Night. All right, guys, have a good one. Be sure to check the morning show out tomorrow morning. DJ Scotty and all the fun crew having a good time with you. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you later. It is Angry American Highway Jack. I'm out of here. All right, boys and girls, Highway Jack is going to sign out and call it a night. Thanks so much for tuning in with us. Be sure to check DJ Scotty and the fun crew out in the morning, every morning. It's only Monday through Friday, though. You don't do a weekend, man. That's right. We'll figure that out. All right, guys, have a good night. We're out of here. See ya.